right, here we are for part 3 of our faster feedback tutorials. In this step, we're going to be setting up our Google Doc. So what this is the sheet that the students or the teachers or whoever will receive. So what we're going to do is we are going to take the questions that we did and we're going to create something where that data is going to be output. So let's just go back to our form and remind ourselves what we've got. We are collecting the student name. We are collecting the email address. We're collecting the score that they got on the thesis. We're collecting the score that they got on the hook. And we're collecting commentary. The other data that we have, should we want it, is the timestamp that it was scored. And then we have our own email address. So I'm going to create a Google Doc. Just go to docs.google.com. And I'm going to click on blank to create a new one. And I'm going to title this Autocrat Sample Response. Okay, so going back to our instruction sheet, the way that this looks is that we want to set it up so that everything the student sees has a tag. See this right here? We're going to put one of these everywhere we want information to feed back in from Autocrat. So I'm going to start with student name. And the easiest thing to call that is student name. And what's going to happen is it's going to feed that data in from Autocrat. And I'm going to show you how to do that later. But for right now, we just want to get this set up. So here are your scores from the Autocrat sample essay. So I'm going to put each one. And again, I'm going to format these exactly the way that I want them to look. And let's see. Your essay was scored at you can make this look as pretty as you want. You can change fonts. You can put your responses in little boxes. You can formulate it any way you want. But essentially what you're doing is you're just creating a spot for that data to be output. So you'll notice that I don't have a spot for the email address, even though I collected that. And I'm going to explain that in the next step, part 4, which is where we get into the nitty-gritty of setting up Autocrat. So one last thing I'm going to remind you to do before we close this out is to click on this little folder up here. And we're going to create a specific folder for this process, because otherwise your Google Drive is going to get pretty cluttered. So I'm going to create a folder called Autocrat Sample and click move here. And then I'm ready to move on to the last step.